Here we are now, the digestive system, part 3 on page 860 beginning, and we're looking at the teeth. Here are the deciduous teeth of the children, and you might want to make a note of that. I'm not going to be testing this or referencing it, but if you have children, it's always nice to consider when their teeth are coming in initially, and then ultimately, if you look at the ages here for the adult teeth, when the adult teeth will be pushing the deciduous teeth out. I do want you to know the adult format here. There are 32 positions divided by 4 quadrants. So 4 into 32 are 8 teeth. So we have to consider here the 8 teeth of each quadrant. We're going to have 2 incisors, a medial, a lateral, a canine. We're going to be having 2 premolars, and then 3 molars. Each of these coming at a particular time in development. As we get out here to the second and the third molar, particularly the third molar, we have quite a range of when the, how shall I say, maturing process of the skeletal tissues is complete. So there's quite a few things going on there, but if you consider all positions, then we have 8 of these teeth times 4. So we have the 4 quadrants, upper and lower. Notice that the teeth, as we look down here, are going to be positioned in what could be, or if we're looking up, it could be, if we're looking up, then it would be the maxilla. If we're looking down at the teeth, then they would be in the mandible. Okay, so over here we see the position of the tooth in the bony structure. This is called the alveolar process of either the mandible, or if it was an upper tooth, it would be the alveolar process of the maxilla. So the teeth are having what we call an articulation or a joint that's called a gum Phocis. Okay, so here we have the root of the tooth, the neck of the tooth, and the crown of the tooth. The root is going to be associated with the bone, and it's going to be utilizing a ligament here. When you have the tooth associated with the bone through a ligament, in this case the periodontal ligament, we call that a gum Phocis. The periodontal ligament, because it's a ligament, is dense, regular connective tissue, and the collagen bundles here are parallel to each other, forming a ligament. Okay, that holds the root of the tooth to the bone. Then we have the neck of the tooth before we get to the enameled portion. This part of the tooth is associated with the gingiva, or the gum of the tooth. And then we have enamel covering the outer surface, which is supposed to be in contact with food. Okay, and that would be the crown. If, for whatever reason, this gets, how shall I say, eroded in some way, then these dentine, here we go, there we go, the dentinal, rather, tubules make up the dentine, and the tubules lead into this canal through here. The canal is filled with capillaries, and a nerve goes all the way through here. Okay, and that things can communicate once there is an opening here in the enamel. It could be due to having some trauma to the tooth. Maybe one bit into something hard and cracked the enamel. Another option is that there are streptococcus bacteria that ferment in the mouth, and they form an acid which etches the enamel. So they have a flourish every 16 hours, which means it's good to brush your teeth twice a day, and you might eliminate the flourish for the most part. So dental caries is the result of that flourish, where there's going to be acidic outcomes from the fermentation. And it doesn't take very much acid to etch that. Okay, the next thing we move on to, coming from the oral cavity, going to the stomach, is this cross section here. is the view of the esophagus. We're over on page 862, and I'm indicating here a longitudinal consideration. This is cross-section. The longitudinal consideration is that we have 10 inches worth of esophagus going from the pharynx at the back of the throat all the way down to the stomach. We arrive at the stomach down here in this picture, but on the way there we have the first third of the musculature here is skeletal muscle. The next 1/3, the middle 1/3, is a mixture of skeletal and smooth, and then down here we have smooth muscle in the last 1/3 of the way. They're depicting here mucosa, submucosa, and muscularis. Remember, we still have the circular inner layer and innervated by the vagus nerve by way of the Meissner's plexus. Okay, so it's a 2-neuron system for the parasympathetic. And then again, the vagus comes first to the Auerbach's plexus in this case, and then to the longitudinal outer layer, which provides the peristaltic action. So 10 inches worth of peristalsis. So you can stand on your head and still drink water. It works. So peristalsis is very effective. And over here we have stratified squamous epithelium. That's the mucosal layer here, stratified squamous epithelium. Okay, it ends right here. Let's take a look at that end point. Maybe I'll come this way. Okay, so this is stratified squamous. It very abruptly ends right here. And then we begin the simple columnar epithelium of the stomach. This is a tight junction here, and this is also an area where there is strong acid and digestive enzymes. So this is supposed to be a functional sphincter here, physiological sphincter it's called, not a true sphincter. So you cannot fill the stomach to fullness. Beware. Otherwise, there could be a regurgitation event. Some people call it heartburn. But at any rate, if it refluxes, it's not a good thing. Okay, so that ends this part 3 of the digestive system.